Hello everybody. I am going to do a flip through of my 2021 December daily. I just finished it last night and it is ready to go on the shelf. So I used just this little label under the book plate. This was an album, an Ali Edwards December Daily album from a couple years ago that I got on sale. Alright, so on my inside cover I wrote, I didn't do a reason why or intentions this year. I just did, I instead did a letter to the month of December. So I wrote that out and made this pocket. And then I also did one at the end of the album, but you'll be able to, I'll show you that later. So here is my title page. And I used this on the back of it. Let me zoom in a little bit here. And this is our family picture. We just did a kind of a self-timer picture on Thanksgiving. This was my calendar. I had printed up a rough copy and then just kind of filled it out during the month. And then once the month was over, I went through and kind of kept what I felt were like the holiday or important kind of events that were going on. And then I did a little bit of like decorating with chipboard and some puffy stickers. This was story one. I did, instead of a layout of like decorating the tree, I just did a story about one of the ornaments that we got this year. We buy ornaments when we go on vacation. So I just did a little story about our vacation ornament that we added to our tree this year. This was kind of scrap lifted from, I think it was Amy Gretchen, where I just did stamps from Christmas cards that we received throughout the month. And then this was Christmas cards that I sent out to some crafty friends. And I used a Cricut, so like on page 3, I did this Cricut cut file. Actually, I think it was Paige Evans, maybe a Paige Evans cut file on my Cricut. But then I made a smaller one to put inside my cards that I sent out, and it was to my crafty friends. And then on the message inside, I wrote Happy Holidays from our house to yours. And so I thought putting that cute little cut file in there was appropriate. So this was our gingerbread houses. And I just did a swivel. I did some pictures of the gingerbread houses, and then my kids named their houses that were in their little gingerbread village. So I put the names of them around the border, and then I just did a little bit of journaling. This was my daughter went to, she is away at college, and this was her first year away from us for her birthday. So we sent her a cake, and I asked her to please send me a picture of it so I could include it in my album. And then this was just a little bit about what she did on her birthday. They went like the next town over and to see some like a light display that they do. And then she didn't get some very great pictures with the lights, so I just found photos online from the event and put them on here. She saw both of these things, so I felt she saw them, so I can use them. This was my other daughter and I just went out to breakfast one morning. I guess it was more brunch, but so I just included these tags and put those in there. Okay, we did a trolley ride with my husband's work, and to see all like the holiday lights around town. So I got a group picture and I did some journaling down here. And then this was a pocket. I just did like a clear pocket here that I stitched on, and then I used these pictures. They weren't the greatest quality, but I wanted to include them. So I just made a little booklet, tuck that back in there. This was story 7, pretty simple. These were Christmas movies of, that I have not seen. Pretty common, pretty popular Christmas movies, classics, I guess, that I have never seen. So for story 9, I did a self-care day. This was a day I went to Starbucks, and I knew I wanted to include like a story about their red cups, but I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. So I ended up including it on this day. And what I did is I had all 4 of the cups, and I had a cut file that I used, but I used pieces from each of the cups to make it. So, so this was one cup, this was another one, this was the 3rd one, this was the 4th, and I just put it on transparency. And then this was my, the rest of my self-care day. This was the Starbucks, and then I went and had a massage, and then I did some journaling on this like pull-out tab here. This was story 10. It was just about my daughter and how she not only loves shopping, but she also loves picking things out for other people. So this was a day that we went and did all of her teacher shopping and Secret Santa. So we did that. I got to snap that picture, but she didn't even know I took this picture of her. And then this was a, I don't think you can see it. Let me put this. This was just a flip up that I did of her walking down the aisle, and then I just did some journaling. She got some flowers. One of her teachers had a death in the family, so she wanted to get her some flowers. So this was just kind of all about how she shows gratitude. These were my 11 things I loved about December. I actually made this as a foundation page, but I didn't know where I was going to put it, so I didn't put a number up here. I just did the stamping, and then once I knew where it was going to go in the album, I put the number, and then I typed out the 11 things that I was loving about this month. This was a cut file that I put on transparency, and here was my wrapping page. Just pretty simple, nothing fancy. Just my matching wrapping paper that I usually don't have. I usually use like leftovers every year, but last year I used up most of my leftovers, so I was able to get like matching paper this year. This was just a night that my daughter and I spent on the couch watching a show, and I did some hidden journaling here, and I just wrote just kind of how much, she's a teenager, and so we don't always have time where we're sitting on the couch, so it was a really special night just hanging out with her. This was my Christmas list. I don't really ever have a Christmas list, and so I was like, well, if I was to put together a Christmas list, then what exactly would I want in it? So I just did, these were inspired by the little window cards that Allie sold. I didn't buy the window cards, I just made my own. And they just flip open I kind of had, this was a fun page to do. And then I typed this out, printed it on my computer, and then stamped that. This was a date night. Me and my husband went on a date night. And this is a flip up, and I just did a little bit of journaling. This was the night that my daughter came home from college. We were, it was kind of just a basic night. Like, she came home in the evening. We were in the middle of making dinner, and I set my phone up on the camera, the tripod, and just let it do some pictures with the self timer. I was really happy to capture this moment. It was just kind of simple. The kids were sitting on the floor. It was very casual. I was making dinner on the stove. My husband was eating it before he even got to the table. My girls had already eaten, so we were just sitting around and chatting and catching up. This was our baking day. I wanted to do something different than just taking a picture of the cookies that we made. I usually have the girls, like everyone in our family, picks out one thing to make, one kind of cookie to make. And we picked the same ones this year as we did last year. So I felt like I needed a different kind of a layout. So instead, I have this picture of me doing using the cookie cutters. And I did a story more of like what my hands do during the holidays. You know, wrapping presents, making cookies, making lists. And then I just did two-sided. And I just talked about like the importance of some of our traditional cookies that we make every year, and that I hope that one day my girls will continue that tradition with their families. So it was kind of a different spin on a baking day. And this was brunch that I went to with my two best friends, and we exchanged gifts and just had a really good time. This was a gift, or so my daughter has a friend who gave her this cute Rae Dunn coffee mug. This is "You're My Jam." It was really cute, and she loves hot chocolate, so she immediately made hot chocolate in it. And then I had these little snowflake marshmallows. I think I got them from Target, and it just lays on top of the hot chocolate. But of course, she had to have regular marshmallows and then that one. Guess you could never have enough marshmallows. So this was the 3x4 pocket page, but I needed some journaling. So I used a 3x8 journal card. And then this was I think a 6x8 pocket page. Yeah, a 6x8 pocket page. I cut it. I stitched it here with a zigzag stitch. And then I used my fuse tool to make it the size I needed to make it. This was kind of a spin on Shuen's. She had one of these flip pages that said joy. I think there was like this flap had a J, this one had an O, and this one had a Y. So I just did mine a little bit differently, but it was inspired by her. And I did a Christmas edition of this or that for each of the people in our family. And this was an easy foundation page to do. I made this ahead of time. And so we all did one. And that was kind of fun to do. And then on the back of it, I did, this was journaling from my Marco Polo group. Joined a Marco Polo group with 4 other ladies this year, and we have really become good friends, good crafty friends, and we have a lot of good discussions and provide a lot of advice and inspiration. And so I just did a little bit of journaling down here at the bottom. And then I just had pictures of them that I put in here. And I think this one flips up, and I just did, let's see, on the top. So pretty simple, but fun. This, I got the Cricut foil transfer tool that plugs into my Cricut. And it's not heat activated. It's just like pressure activated, I guess. So took a couple times to get the hang of it, and it still isn't perfect, but you can kind of see, I'll take this out, you can kind of see like the shimmery, the shiny part of the foil. So it's not perfect, but I felt, you know what, this was my first time using the foil, and if anything, it documents the first time I used it. And I guess hopefully it will get better the next couple times that I use it, but I could have spent forever trying to make it perfect, but it doesn't need to be perfect. So I did that. And these were, this is my daughter, my two daughters, but they had she had a sleepover with her best friends from high school. So it was good to see them together again after their first semester of college. This was last minute. We live like an hour and a half from an NFL stadium, and there was a bowl game that night, and my husband very last minute was like, let's go to the bowl game. So we bought tickets, and it was supposed to be cold, and I think that was a lot of the reason for us to go. We're in Florida, so for it to be cold is a rare thing. So we got in the car, drove up there. We ended up buying tickets as we were in the car, and we had a great time. This was my Christmas Eve pocket. I made an envelope, and this is a clear transparency, and I used one of the nested chipboard squares. And then I just put in, because Christmas Eve has just so many like random pictures for us, I felt like they weren't cohesive, and they wouldn't look right, like all on one page. So I just printed them out in 4x6, and then I tuck them in this envelope. And then I just added a little bit of embellishments. This were their opening up their Christmas pajamas. This was at our outdoor Christmas Eve service. This was the candlelight portion of service that I took, and then I just put these letters on there. This was at dinner. At our Christmas Eve dinner, we go to the same restaurant every year for several years now. And then this was a group picture. We go to a property the next town over, and they have several acres, and they decorate for the holidays. And so we go, after we go to dinner, we go to go see the lights. So we got a group picture. Not everybody was in here, but it was kind of hard to meet or to get everyone together because we were kind of all over the place. So, and then these just tuck in to that pocket. This was my Christmas day. I didn't really plan right for like my Christmas to have like a 2-page spread. So it ended up being front and back, which I'm okay with. So I just did this with the number and picture of my girls' stockings. And then this, I used that grid, that popular grid thing that everybody was doing. I made this on Publisher and then printed up the pictures and used my adhesive to put them into each grid square. So this was just kind of a collection of all of our pictures from Christmas Day. This was a cut file, and then I just put this gold polka dot transparency in between, kind of as a divider, like a buffer because these 2 pages are kind of busy. This was the day after we went to, this was the day after Christmas. We went on vacation the next day. So this was just kind of like a regular kind of recovery day after Christmas. So I just used this to fill out the trying, wearing, buying, wanting, watching, feeling, and listening. And I did, these are stamps that I embossed. And then I just used my Slick Writers that are in red and green to just draw the boxes. And then I journaled. Pretty simple. And then this was our trip. We went to Savannah, Georgia, and we all ended up sick, so we didn't really get to enjoy it how we wanted to, but it is what it is. I still was able to get some pictures and did a little bit of journaling, so it's just a flip out. I did, and this actually, I made this last year, this flip out, and I intended to use it last year and then I never did. So I just put it in my December daily box and hoped to use it this year. And this ended up being perfect. This was like our hotel. I did some journaling. This was just some random pictures of us around town. This was one of the parks that they have. My husband went golfing. And then on the back side, I did, let's see, my other daughter and I getting ice cream. And then we went to Fort Pulaski on the way home. So I got a couple pictures of Fort Pulaski. And then on the very back, I put the view from our hotel balcony, which was really, it was beautiful. And I had a sunrise picture and a sunset picture, and I didn't know which one I wanted. So but I ended up using the sunset picture. And I just used this puffy sticker. And then this was the matching. So this was on the inside cover. This was on the back inside cover. And this one was my, kind of my thank you. Just like this one was what I hoped December would bring. And then this was thanking December for what it brought. Even though it wasn't exactly what we had planned, we had some bumps in the road. It's still, I still felt like I owed it a thank you. So it was nice to write that. It was pretty simple. And then I just tucked it right in there. And that is my 2021 flip through, or December daily flip through. I hope you all enjoyed.